trip down one of the busiest roads in Central Texas, driving in darkness.
Here's a pole with no lights, a pole with one light.
A KXAN investigation reveals hundreds of lights out on I-35.
You know, we're limited by budget. We're also limited by the staff that we have.
We're talking long stretches, dark and possibly dangerous, some out for more than a year.
And the people in charge have known about them all along.
From Waco to Austin to San Antonio, our crew traveled the entire 180 miles. The darkest discovery of this investigation was in San Marcos, the place with the most lights out. KXAN obtained the agreement between San Marcos and the state. It says the Texas Department of Transportation pays to construct the poles. It's up to the city to keep them illuminated.
But if they go out, that contract doesn't specify how quickly the city has to fix them. And there lies the problem. KXAN investigator Chris Sadeghi joins us along I-35 in San Marcos to show us just how bad it really is.
A little bit of light can make a big difference. It's the difference between seeing me and seeing a shadow. It can be especially important for drivers on the road because if there's lights on the highway, they should not be off. We went to find out who's in charge of these lights to see when they plan on turning them back on.
We've been up and down this road, you know, 3-4 times a week.
Working in Austin, but living in San Antonio, Gary Raj is on the road before the sun comes up, after it goes down, most times in the dark.
When it's raining and when you're in the fog, all you're looking for is white lines.
Lately, though, he's been looking for something else.
Pole there, completely dark. That one's dark. That one's dark. And they've been that way for months now.
So one night, Gary decided to do some counting.
I was so astonished.
We counted the poles ourselves, and here is what astonished Gary. Between Austin and San Antonio, we counted 463 light poles, each with 2 mounted lights. And of the 926 bulbs, 300 of them, nearly 1/3, were dark.
Not having all the lights on just makes no sense to me at all.
Most of the dark poles come one after another in long stretches, and the darkest stretch we found was in San Marcos, in a busy area, and on the night we were counting, construction cones were on the highway.
It's not like it's nothing going on here. It's the outlet mall.
So who's in control of the lights, and why isn't the power on?
2 lights out, 2 lights out.
I've been here for a little over a year, and I know they've been off and on.
We went to Greg Troxel with San Marcos Electric Utility. They're responsible for keeping the lights on. But he told us they're fully aware that the lights had been off a while. When asked why, he showed us this.
Some of this, we've actually found rat nests in the conduits. The jacket is decayed and corroded.
Rats and corrosion are tearing away at the wiring here that is more than 20 years old. Troxel says it needs replacing, and budget restraints have kept it from happening.
We're limited by budget. We're also limited by the staff that we have.
Other bulbs here and there are randomly out just because, like any bulb, they do burn out. Troxel says they have to get permits and street crews to replace them, and it can be difficult to keep up.
It's not very cost effective to do 1 or 2 at a time. That's not to say we haven't fallen behind in that.
Here's a pole with no lights, a pole with 1 light.
Whatever the reason, Gary and other drivers are left in the dark.
Having the roads well lit could do nothing but help us.
And once we began looking into this story, we learned from San Marcos with this long, dark stretch that they are planning a $400,000 project to replace these lights with LED lights, lights that will last longer and also save energy. They hope to have that done sometime in the spring. We will check back with them and keep you updated with when they plan on flipping these lights back on. We're in San Marcos. Chris Sadeghi, KXAN News.
A closer look at the standard contract between the cities and the state of Texas says if the lights go out, TxDOT gives the city 3 options. Fix the lights yourself, let us fix them and we'll bill you for it, or let us take them down altogether. But TxDOT says it has not done any of that lately, instead just sending cities a simple reminder of the agreement.
But as we've told you, even if they're getting a reminder, San Marcos has left some lights dark for more than a year. Again, that contract doesn't give them a deadline. TxDOT says it's simply within a reasonable time frame. The document itself is pretty old, signed in 1990, nearly a quarter century ago, and a lot has changed since then, like the massive number of drivers on that stretch of road. To give you an idea, just look at how population has exploded there. 28,000 people back then, more than 50,000 now.
Along with San Marcos, cities we found in the dark also included Schertz and Selma near San Antonio, and pretty much all the cities north of Austin because of construction zones. And the brightest cities, those with the most lights on, were New Braunfels, Kyle, and Buda.
And in case you're wondering who's responsible for those stretches of I-35 between cities, it's TxDOT. There aren't nearly as many lights as those areas, though. And TxDOT tells us it doesn't monitor those. Instead, they wait on someone to report an outage to them. We should also let you know we requested the number of accidents at night in those dark areas of I-35. The results actually showed there wasn't really a connection between the two. Still, we did find drivers with safety concerns. We wanted to check here in Austin, too, and we found plenty of lights out here as well, and fixing that will cost you. Austin Energy is responsible for maintaining the lights on the highway and all streets in the city. Customers pay about $1 a month to help do so. But highway lights may take a while because Austin Energy will actually let several of them burn out first. They have to shut down lanes to replace the bulbs. Online right now at KXAN.com, you can search for this story on the homepage to see our full report about this safety concern and to check out the lighting agreement between TxDOT and all of the cities along I-35. We also tell you where and what times of day have the most accidents along I-35. You know, this story came to us through a tip from a concerned driver. If you have a story tip you'd like KXAN to investigate, send us an email at investigates@KXAN.com or call our tip line 512-703-5255.